We're live in Franklin County, where deputies are searching for a fugitive who's considered armed and dangerous.
One of 4 suspects charged in a violent Domino's pizza robbery admits to her role in the crime.
Rest of the afternoon, we'll get some peaks of sunshine here and there. It's going to be pretty chilly, but the next few days we really warm some things up. And then we're looking at snow late in the forecast. I'm going to break that down for you coming up.
This is WKYT News at Noon.
Good afternoon from WKYT. I'm Barbara Bailey.
I'm Bill Bryant. Here's what's happening at noon, a story that is changing just as we hit the air here at midday. A fugitive on the run in central Kentucky has just turned himself in.
Now, police say Gail Abrams attacked a woman on Flat Creek Road north of Frankfort, causing severe burns to her neck and her stomach. WKYT's Mark Barber is live in Franklin County with the very latest on the manhunt, which has now resulted in him being caught. It's our top story at noon. Mark?
Good afternoon, Barbara. The Franklin County Sheriff, Pat Melton, told me in the past few minutes that Gail Abrams just turned himself in, ending what had been really a 12-hour search for the fugitive. He was wanted, deputies say, because he burned his girlfriend on a stove this morning. Now, they say after he burned her, she did not have far to go for help because she was able to walk a couple hundred feet to this fire station.
Thank God she was close.
Sheriff Pat Melton says if she wasn't this close to help, she may not have found any. Melton says she was drinking with her boyfriend, Gail Abrams, around midnight when they started fighting. The sheriff tells WKYT Abrams pushed her against a stove and held her down. Abrams' neighbor has a different version of what happened inside this home.
She ran at him to attack him, and he moved out of the way, and she fell on the fireplace. He actually helped her up off of the fireplace.
The woman is at UK Hospital being treated for third-degree burns from her neck to her waist. Deputies searched for Abrams in the area surrounding Flat Creek Road from midnight to 8 this morning, bringing in a Lexington police helicopter to scan the area with infrared technology. If he didn't hurt her, why did he run?
I'm not sure exactly why he ended up running after the fact, after the cops, did come. I guess he was scared, and at that point he probably realized that something's not right.
The sheriff says Abrams will now be charged with the possession of a handgun by a convicted felon, as well as first-degree assault. Now, we've learned that this is not the first time that he has faced serious charges. Coming up on WKYT News at 12:30, we'll break down what we've learned about his prior 6 convictions. Live in Franklin County, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you. And to let you know a little bit about his past, Abrams was charged a few years ago after one of his neighbors said she was mauled by his pit bulls. She did not want to talk on camera today, but she did tell us her neighbors have been nothing but trouble.
One of the suspects charged in a violent robbery in central Kentucky nearly 2 years ago is admitting now to her role in the crime. Robin Adams was charged in a robbery at the Domino's Pizza in Danville back in 2014. The store clerk, Zoe Reed, was shot and badly injured during the holdup. WKYT's Phil Pendleton is at the Boyle County Courthouse with the latest on a plea deal today.
There were 4 people arrested after store clerk Zoe Reed was shot during that violent robbery that happened in September 2014 at the Danville Domino's Pizza. Police said that Robin Adams was the driver of the car. She was originally charged with robbery and assault, but those charges were amended down to criminal facilitation to commit robbery and criminal facilitation to commit assault. The judge asked Adams several questions to make sure that she was sure of what she was doing.
Have you talked this over with your family? They know what you're doing and what's going on here at this point. What do they think about you entering this kind of a guilty plea?
They're satisfied.
Okay, so they're supporting you in whatever decision that you make.
And with that plea, Adams' recommended sentence is 5 years on each charge to serve concurrently for a total of 5 years. Final sentencing will be in April. In Danville, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Phil, thank you. There are 3 other defendants in the case: Rico Penix, Patrick Brand, and a 16-year-old. Adams has agreed to testify against them as a part of the plea deal.
Well, it's a chilly but dry day here in the Bluegrass with temperatures staying in the 30s, and a warm-up is expected just in time for the weekend. WKYT meteorologist Micah Harris is live in our First Alert Weather Center now with a look ahead.
Yeah, it was chilly this morning. It's going to be chilly this afternoon, and it's going to be chilly overnight. I mean, it's not really going to stop anytime soon until we hit really the weekend. I think tomorrow will be right around average, but yeah, it's going to be better than what you're seeing there on the screen. The rest of the afternoon right around 36, so a degree or two. And then off toward the evening, we'll be at 33, near freezing there by the evening hours. We get overnight and into tomorrow morning in the 20s, but we rebound very nicely. I'll talk about how calm this weather is going to be throughout your weekend, and also looking for those snow chances heading in toward next week. We're going to get right into that in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you. A Western Kentucky family says it was hit with the Zika virus while on a mission trip. The Carroll family says their health problems started shortly after their son, who attends Murray State University, visited them in Haiti. WKYT's Michelle Chamberlain is at the live desk now with reaction from him. Michelle?
20-year-old Chantry Carroll is back in Kentucky after he says he and his family were sick with the Zika virus. The Murray State junior came back to Kentucky a couple of weeks ago after visiting his family in Haiti. The Carrolls are full-time missionaries who have lived there for more than a year. During Chantry's latest visit to Haiti this past Christmas break, he said he had mosquito bites all over his feet. He said he was the first person in his family to have symptoms of the virus.
I started feeling really sick right around New Year's. And I would just wake up in the morning and just feel really dizzy, and I had a lot of pain behind my eyes.
Chantry says over the course of a few days, his brother, mom, dad, and sister all became sick with the virus. He says he came back to Kentucky on January 12th feeling better, but said he had lingering joint pain for a few days. He says everyone in his family is healthy again. Now, the World Health Organization says the Zika virus is, quote, spreading explosively to more than 20 countries in Latin America. The virus is primarily spread through mosquito bites. The big concern with Zika is the virus is linked to birth defects. Chantry's mom, who is still in Haiti, tells me one of her friends there is pregnant, and they are extremely worried about her getting the virus. Now, as for those in Kentucky, Dr. Ben Clausen, an infectious disease specialist with Baptist Health Medical Group, says this about the Zika virus, quote, as a threat to people in Kentucky, I think we won't see anything widespread, if at all. At the live desk, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Thank you, Michelle. And although Dr. Clausing says the risk to Kentuckians is low, it's recommended that pregnant women postpone travel to those areas highly affected by the Zika virus. Kentucky American water officials say residents concerned about lead in their water shouldn't be. Concerns have arisen following dangerous levels of lead found in Flint, Michigan's drinking water last month. Kentucky American says they test for lead in water every few years, and the results are undetectable for lead. However, they say if you live in a home built before 1934, you may want to check your own water.
Unfortunately, lead is at the limelight right now, but we're just as worried about lead as we are anything that could be a problem in our water.
Tonight on WKYT News at 6, we'll have a behind-the-scenes look at how water companies guarantee nothing like Flint can happen here.
A man who once played a big role in Kentucky politics has died. Marlo Cook served one term in the U.S. Senate. He also served as judge over in Jefferson County. He made an unsuccessful bid in 1967 for Kentucky governor, was defeated in the Republican primary that year by Louis B. Nunn. Marlo Cook was 89 years old. And friends, family, and colleagues will begin saying a final farewell this afternoon to Georgia Davis Powers, a civil rights icon and the first African-American woman ever elected to the Kentucky Senate. Powers died last Saturday at the age of 92. Her body will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda this afternoon from 1:30 until 4, and a memorial service is planned for 2 o'clock. Senator Powers was elected in 1967, and she served in the state's upper chamber of the legislature for 21 years. Governor Matt Bevin has directed that flags at all state office buildings be lowered to half-staff in honor of Powers. University of Kentucky President Eli Capilouto has formed a committee to recommend a long-term solution for a controversial mural on campus.
Now, that mural located in Memorial Hall shows the history of Lexington, but some find the depictions of African Americans offensive. UK covered it up after officials met with concerned students in November. Capilouto has said that the piece will continue to be displayed, but the question is how and in what context going forward.
Well, the two candidates for the Democratic presidential nomination will be going head-to-head again tonight in their final debate before the New Hampshire primary. We'll have a preview next on Kentucky's #1 Midday News.
Also ahead, a Pennsylvania judge has rejected Bill Cosby's efforts to have his sexual assault case dismissed. Find out what's next for the embattled comedian. Coming up on WKYT News at noon.
When you turn on your faucet, you expect to drink clean water. But after the water crisis in Flint, Michigan, WKYT investigates what's being done locally to keep our water clean. What's in your water? Tonight at 6 on WKYT.
The Cats are back on WKYT to take on the Gators at Rupp in an SEC showdown you will only see on your official UK station. Kentucky versus Florida, Saturday at 4, followed by a Wildcat wrap-up, only on WKYT.
This President's Day, it's all about choices at the Burke Furniture President's Day sale. Get the special order bedroom you want in 21 days with Von Bassett Furniture.
That's incredible!
It's all at the Burke Furniture President's Day sale, going on now.
While some airports offer a few flights to a few places a few days a week, Louisville International offers daily flights to more of the places you want to go. You can get there from there, eventually. Or you can see where we can take you. Visit us today.
What's the affordable difference? It's their very affordable fees.
They care about me.
Dentures in just one day.
Their experienced denture team.
Call 1-800-DENTURE or go to affordabledentures.com for valuable coupons. Same-day dentures, extractions, and implants. Affordable fees, compassionate care, and satisfied patients.
What's the affordable difference? A great smile.
Meet the Moores. We're the Moore family, and as you can see, we needed internet that could do more.
We do more games.
And more streaming.
So we need more speed.
That's why we switched to Time Warner Cable.
Now we can connect more devices at the same time.
Hi, Grandma and Grandpa.
Look at that!
Time Warner Cable even has an internet plan for us.
Get the speed you need. Internet plans start as low as $14.99 per month. Call 1-855-1TWC.
Get ready for spring and save big. Kevin's Carpets has a huge selection of hardwood, laminate, tile, carpet, and more. We have any flooring you need at a price you can afford. Kevin's Carpets now serving you in 2 locations, Lexington and Georgetown. Why, you'd have to be crazy to buy flooring anyplace else.
This President's Day, it's all about choices at the Burke Furniture President's Day sale. Get the special order bedroom you want in 21 days with Von Bassett Furniture.
That's incredible!
It's all at the Burke Furniture President's Day sale, going on now.
Welcome back to WKYT News at noon. Democrats Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton are getting ready for their first head-to-head debate tonight in New Hampshire, while the two frontrunners in the Republican race escalate their war of words.
A spirited race, certainly, and Weijia Jiang has the latest from the campaign trail.
Republican Senator Ted Cruz met with voters in New Hampshire Thursday morning.
We need to defend the Second Amendment.
While he continues his war of words with Donald Trump.
I don't think people are interested in a temper tantrum, or you could call it a Trumper tantrum.
In a series of tweets, Donald Trump accused Cruz of fraud during the Iowa caucuses. The Republican Party disagreed and made the results there official. But overnight, Trump tweeted again, suggesting Cruz's tactic was a misdemeanor at minimum.
Oh, that voter fraud. You know, these politicians are brutal.
Democrats Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders are preparing for a debate tonight, the first head-to-head showdown since Martin O'Malley dropped out of the race. At a town hall event last night, the candidates continue to spar over which one of them deserves to be called a progressive.
You can't be a moderate and a progressive. They are different.
It's very hard to see how any of his proposals could ever be achievable.
Sanders is counting on the youth vote to win.
He understands the fact that things aren't easy.
Young volunteers are also supporting Clinton.
Women's rights, that's something that Secretary Clinton strongly believes in and will always fight for.
About 40% of voters in New Hampshire are not registered in any political party. They can make up their minds on primary night. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, Manchester, New Hampshire.
The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating after Donald Trump had his plane have some troubles yesterday, making him late for a rally in Arkansas. President Obama is planning to propose spending nearly $6 billion more on programs that are designed to help young people land their first job. About $2 billion would go toward programs that encourage companies and public entities to hire more apprentices to learn job skills while also earning a salary. The White House won't say yet how the president would pay for the job programs, but they say the details will be a part of next week's budget request. A criminal sex assault case against actor Bill Cosby is now moving forward.
Cosby's attorney spent 2 days in a Philadelphia courtroom trying to convince a judge to throw out the case, but he decided not to dismiss the charges. The judge ruled that Cosby was not granted immunity in exchange for testifying in a civil suit filed by a former Temple University employee who said that Cosby drugged and assaulted her back in 2004. Cosby has not yet entered a plea in the case. He'll be back in court next month. If convicted, he could face 10 years in prison. Playboy models are not known for what they wear, but that could change with the magazine's latest issue. The February edition is its first without nudity. Also gone from the magazine, the tagline, "Entertainment for Men," along with the jokes page. The magazine is also bigger with thicker paper, and the photography leaves a little more to the imagination. Playboy decided to go in a new direction now that internet porn is sapping up its circulation.
Times change. Well, we're learning that a Central Kentucky murder victim may have known his alleged killer.
We'll have the latest on the case coming up in a report on WKYT News at 12:30.
Get WKYT News and weather updates on 98.1 The Bull.
For the last 11 years, our brave men and women have been at war in the Middle East. Many have come back with life-altering injuries, both physical and mental. At Morgan & Morgan, we have a section devoted to serving our veterans and helping them with their VA claims. The process is complicated and many are denied. If you've been denied VA benefits, visit forthepeople.com for answers to your questions. Morgan & Morgan, serving our veterans.
I'm Alex Trebek. If you're age 50 to 85, I have an important message about security. Write down the number on your screen so you can call when I finish. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. This is a lock for your life insurance, a rate lock that guarantees your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. But be careful. Many policies you see do not have one. But you can get a lifetime rate lock through the Colonial Penn program. Call this number to learn more. This plan was designed with a rate lock for people on a fixed income who want affordable life insurance that's simple to get. Coverage options for just $9.95 a month, less than 35 cents a day. Act now and your rate will be locked in for life. It will never increase. Guaranteed. This is lifelong coverage that can never be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Guaranteed. And your acceptance is guaranteed, with no health questions. You cannot be turned down because of your health. Call for your information kit and read about this rate lock for yourself. You'll also get a free gift with great information. Both are free, with no obligation. Don't miss out. Call for information, then decide. Read about the 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. Don't wait. Call this number now.
Call 1-800-440-4200 for your free information and a free gift. There's no obligation. That's 1-800-440-4200. Or visit us online at colonialpenn.com. That number again is 1-800-440-4200. 1-800-440-4200. Call now.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you. WKYT. Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
Not the best looking day outside, but when you look closely at some of these clouds, if you peek your head out the window, you can actually see bits and pieces of brighter spots. And what that means is you'll start to see those separate just a bit, at least get some mixture of sun and clouds. Temperatures are there in the 30s. We talked about it this morning. It's not going to budge that much, maybe 2 to 3 degrees, and that's about it. It's pretty much what we're doing. It's not budging whatsoever. Until we get some peaks of sunshine, well, it's going to be hard to actually come by. Let's check out sighting. You see those little brighter spots there in the clouds? That's what I'm talking about. Typically, those separate just a bit late into the afternoon. We get a little mixing going on, and you can start to see at least some sunshine. It won't be a lot, and it won't really change those temperatures all that much, but it's just nice to see. 36 by the afternoon. Tomorrow in the lower 40s. We head off towards your weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Pretty good looking weekend in store. You got to remember that typically we're around 42 degrees. We're going to be just above that on both Saturday and Sunday, and staying dry. Sunday night into Monday, that's a different story, though. Check out my 7-day forecast. 36 today, 40s the next few days. Now through Sunday, we're dry, but Sunday night into Monday, here comes a snow system rolling on in, and people are saying, how much are we getting out of this? This one is not coming in from the south. What that means is you're not looking at a lot of snow with this. It's going to cover a large real estate of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, but you won't see deep snow out of this. But still some light snow. You know as well as I do, guys, that light snow during the week is kind of treacherous there for travel, there for school buses and whatnot. So that's definitely something for a lot of teachers and a lot of school officials to pay attention to.
It still gets your attention.
It does, absolutely.
Tough timing on a Monday morning, though, maybe.
Right.
All right, we'll see. Thank you. We're coming back on WKYT, a close call for a former Cat.
And Mark Stoops says it was a banner day for football Cats. Dave Baker's next with sports.
And checking stocks this midday, the situation is mixed. The Dow is up some, NASDAQ off a bit, S&P 500 slightly.
Meet Sheldon's grandmother.
Look at you sitting in Sheldon's spot. You know, I don't even get to sit there.
And you never will. Don't miss a new Big Bang Theory, CBS tonight.
Tonight, TV's #1 new comedy is about to experience Cousin Mikey.
Remember when we were kids, we used to play dancing cheek to cheek?
It's the first of 6 new episodes in a row.
Does Heather ask about me?
She's married, dear, and she's your first cousin.
New Life in Pieces tonight, or stream it live or on demand.
Everyone wants to be energy smart, but sometimes we need a little reminder. With Simple Saver, you save energy and the environment, and you earn energy bill credits. So take the hint. Just call or sign up online, and we'll do all the work. Simple Saver, because being energy smart pays. Clark Energy and Fleming Mason Energy, your Touchstone Energy cooperatives.
All right, come on, everybody. It's time to go.
Getting more for your money is simpler than you might think. When you shop at Kroger, you get low prices throughout the store, weekly specials, great value from our quality brands, and digital coupons you can download right to your Plus card. No spin, just savings.
Treat your family to a boneless pork loin for only $1.99 a pound. And large avocados are 10 for $10. Great food, low prices at Kroger.
After you're injured at work, a lot of times the insurance company will attempt to call you, take statements. Don't speak to them until you speak with an experienced workers' compensation attorney.
The insurance company will attempt to settle your case for pennies on the dollar. Before you talk to the insurance company, call us first.
Our job is to make sure you get all the money you deserve.
Call Morgan, Collins, and Yeast. 1-800-55-WILDCAT.
Up to now, affording a beautiful smile has been, well, sketchy. So picture this. Doctors Durbin, Walks, and Garner are offering an unheard of offer. No down payment and only $175 for 24 months on orthodontic treatment. It's their way of saying thank you. Clear Choice Orthodontics is an elite provider of Invisalign, offers digital imaging, clear porcelains, and accepts most insurance. Affordable orthodontic treatment. Now that's something to smile about. Learn more at clearchoicesmile.com.
Bud's Gun Shop and Range has Kentucky's largest selection of firearms and ammo. Sharpen your skills in our indoor shooting range and check out our huge selection of all-American Ruger firearms, including the new LC9S, located on Industry Road behind Eastland Shopping Center.
Game days are here, and Perry's American Furniture has everything you need to celebrate with the cats in style. TV, consoles, and entertainment centers, dining tables, a comfy couch to watch the game on. Come see us at Perry's American Furniture Gallery, 1176 Industry Road.
Have something that needs investigating? Email us or call the WKYT Investigates tip line.
There are just so many aspects to building a winning football program, especially in the SEC. But days like yesterday, they're certainly the foundation for coaches like Mark Stoops. This was his 4th UK recruiting class. Most of the experts have it ranked in the high 20s or low 30s nationwide. And in light of how the season ended, it was a big success. Success you have to have year after year.
Heck, it is what it is. You know, there's no, nobody cares. You've heard me joke about it before. Nobody cares what your problems are. You know, nobody cares in this league, that's for darn sure. But you need to stack classes on top of classes on top of classes. And then you need to develop them and you need to put them in position by coaching. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but it absolutely starts with having great players.
Consistency has been one of the trademarks of John Calipari's teams the last several years, but this club, well, it's a challenge for fans and the coach to figure out. Kentucky let a 21-point first-half lead get away at Tennessee and fell by 7, 84-77. Cats had turned in 4 straight really good games and played awfully well in that overtime loss at Kansas, but now it's time to rethink, retool, and regroup.
I was worried about this game coming off the Kansas game, and then the way it started, I thought, okay, we're going to be fine. But I think we had them ready, and I think they just did their normal, I'm going to back up, and then I'll get out, I'll foul out. I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? That you ready, and then the stuff gets too rough, and I just back up. And, you know, we got to do some soul searching, individuals and as a staff. We got to keep looking at ways we can help this team get better and demand more and more winning plays. But we are what we are right now.
Cats back at Rupp on Saturday. They're hoping that will help with that enthusiasm and effort. They face Florida at 4. You can see it live right here on WKYT and also on WKYT right afterwards. You'll hear from Coach Cal in a special edition of Wildcat Wrap-Up, all right here on WKYT. After practice yesterday, Rockets forward Terrence Jones was involved in an automobile accident while heading to the team plane for the trip to Phoenix. Test results negative, but Jones remained in the hospital overnight for observation. He did not make the trip with the Rockets to Phoenix. Tonight on the Big Blue Insider with Dick Gabriel, a preview of Saturday's matchup between the Cats and the Gators. That's at 6 on 630 WLAP. And at the top of the hour, we'll get you set for the greatest show in hoops, the bracket draw for the boys and girls Sweet 16. It's at 1 on the CW Lexington and on WKYT.com. But for now, guys, that's a look at sports on this Thursday.
Right, thank you. Always a fun show. And, of course, the big show to come in March.
Oh,
thank
yes.
you.
And there's more to come in our next half hour of WKYT News at noon.
We now know when Lexington's newest sporting goods store will be opening its doors.
A fugitive who is accused of severely burning his girlfriend on a stove has turned himself in Franklin County. Coming up at 12:30, we're taking a look at his past criminal history.
Tomorrow night's Mega Millions jackpot is $71 million, and Saturday night's Powerball jackpot is $136 million.